Once upon a time, in a small village nestled beside a shimmering lake in Africa, there lived a handsome fisherman named Moonto. Moonto was known far and wide for his remarkable skill in catching fish, and his charm was as captivating as the waters he fished in. One sunny morning, Moonto set out on his boat, his nets ready to be cast into the depths of the lake. As he rowed, the sun danced on the water's surface, and the gentle breeze whispered tales of hidden treasures beneath. After hours of patient waiting, Moonto felt a tug on his line. With strength and precision, he reeled in his catch, expecting to find a bountiful fish wriggling in his net. To his surprise, he discovered a magnificent fish with shimmering scales and eyes that sparkled like diamonds. But as Moonto lifted the fish from the water, it began to speak in a voice as melodious as the songbirds in the forest.
Please, kind fisherman, spare my life, and I will grant you a boon beyond your wildest dreams. I am no ordinary fish, I am a guardian of great riches hidden beneath these waters. Spare me, and I will make you wealthy beyond measure. But remember, you must never reveal our encounter to anyone.
Moonto hesitated for a moment, pondering the fish's offer. The allure of wealth was strong, but he also felt a sense of compassion for the creature before him. Ultimately, his heart softened, and he agreed to spare the fish's life. With a flick of its tail, the fish transformed into a plain young woman. She smiled gratefully at Moonto and disappeared beneath the waves, only to shortly reappear and join Moonto in his boat. True to its word, the fish brought prosperity to Moonto's life. His nets were always filled to the brim with fish, and his village flourished with abundance. Moonto never forgot the promise he made to the fish, and he kept their encounter a closely guarded secret, even as his wealth grew. Before long, rumors began to circulate about the mysterious woman living with Moonto. Envy and curiosity seeped into the hearts of the villagers. They wondered how a humble fisherman could afford such luxury, and suspicions grew like weeds in a neglected garden. With his newfound wealth, Moonto's demeanor changed. The once charming fisherman became arrogant and entitled, his kindness replaced by a cold indifference. He lavished himself with riches, ignoring the needs of those around him, including the plain woman who had appeared out of nowhere. The woman, who had once been a beautiful fish, now lived in quiet servitude to Moonto, her true identity hidden from the prying eyes of the villagers. Despite her transformation, her heart remained gentle and kind, a stark contrast to Moonto's growing cruelty. Day by day, Moonto's mistreatment of the woman became more apparent. He would back orders at her, expecting her to cater to his every whim without a word of gratitude. The villagers watched in dismay as the once beloved fisherman descended into darkness, blinded by his greed and arrogance. But the woman bore Moonto's mistreatment with grace, her spirit unbroken despite the harshness of her circumstances. She continued to serve him faithfully, her eyes filled with a silent sadness that spoke volumes to those who cared to listen. Driven by his insatiable desire for wealth and power, Moonto decided to venture beyond his own village in search of new opportunities. He traveled far and wide until he arrived at another village, where he encountered a woman whose beauty rivaled that of the stars in the night sky. Captivated by her allure, Moonto wooed the woman with promises of riches and a life of luxury. Entranced by the prospect of a better life, she agreed to accompany him back to his village, knowing very well that she would be a second wife. Upon their return, Moonto's treatment of the plain woman grew even more disdainful as he showered his affections on his new companion. The plain woman, now relegated to the shadows, watched in silence as Moonto lavished attention on the newcomer, her heart heavy with sorrow. Despite her mistreatment, the plain woman remained steadfast in her loyalty to Moonto. Still, her heart ached with longing for the kindness and respect she so deserved. As days turned into weeks, the village whispered of Moonto's new companion and the rift it had caused in his household. Envy and resentment simmered beneath the surface, threatening to boil over at any moment. As days passed and Moonto's attention remained fixated on his new companion, the atmosphere in his household grew tense. The other woman, emboldened by Moonto's favoritism, began to assert her dominance over the plain woman, her words laced with venomous disdain.
You know, you are my co-wife, but I can't help but wonder, what in the world did Moonto see in you? You are not pretty, you don't seem to care much for anything, you don't make Moonto laugh. You have no shape. What did he see in you? This must be the reason why he came on to me in the first place.
With each passing day, the other woman's mistreatment of the plain woman grew more cruel and relentless. She mocked her appearance, calling her ugly and unworthy of Moonto's affection. The plain woman, already burdened by Moonto's neglect, bore the weight of the other woman's insults in silence, her spirit battered but unbroken. Despite the pain inflicted upon her, the plain woman continued to serve Moonto and his new wife with unwavering dedication, her heart heavy with the realization that she would never be enough in their eyes. As the days turned into weeks, the tension between the two women reached a boiling point, threatening to tear apart the fragile peace of Moonto's household. The villagers whispered of the discord within the fisherman's home, casting judgment upon Moonto for his role in perpetuating such cruelty. But Moonto, blinded by his own desires and consumed by his pursuit of wealth and power, remained oblivious to the suffering of the plain woman, choosing instead to bask in the adoration of his new wife. One day, the plain woman forgot to cook for Moonto his favorite dish, yams. Furious at the plain woman for her forgetfulness, Moonto's temper fled like a raging inferno.
How dare you forget to prepare my yam? You worthless fish! You're lucky I even took you in.
The plain woman flinched at his words, her heart breaking at the cruelty in his voice. But Moonto's anger only intensified as he lashed out with even greater venom.
I'm sorry, Kwame. I'll prepare it right away.
As the harsh words
Ugly
left his
fish.
lips, a
You're
sudden
nothing but a
stillness
burden to
descended
me.
upon the room,
I should have left
broken
you to
only
rot
by
in
the
the
sound
lake
of
where I
Moonto's
found you.
labored breathing. In that moment, a sense of dread washed over him, as if the very air around him had turned cold and foreboding. And then, just as quickly as it had come, the feeling passed, leaving behind an eerie silence that seemed to hang in the air like a heavy fog. Moonto's heart raced with fear as he realized the gravity of his words. But it was too late. The damage had been done, and the promise he had made to the fish, to keep their encounter a secret, had been broken. With a sense of dread, Moonto watched in horror as his riches began to dwindle before his very eyes, disappearing like sand slipping through an open hand. And as the last of his wealth vanished into thin air, Moonto knew that he had paid the ultimate price for his cruelty, and that the true cost of his actions would haunt him for the rest of his days. The moral of this story is this: there are consequences of greed and betrayal. Even if you pursue wealth, do not let it lead to your moral decline or the decline of key relationships. Additionally, it is important for us to keep our promises. Finally, do not do evil to those who have been kind and good to you.